Hello, I'm Gary, and today is kind of a different day. It's my birthday. I'm getting kind of old in Degrassi years, and I'm basically hitting my mid-30s, but I've been watching Degrassi since I was 20. I've watched this show evolve, I've watched the Degrassi fandom evolve, and the way I think about this show and the way that I view this show has evolved as I've gotten older. On the screen, I've got some clips from my favorite Degrassi episode of all time, Rock and Roll High School, but this video today is more of a birthday reflective commentary. I've done a few commentaries like this on previous birthdays, but today I just want to talk a little bit about Degrassi, the franchise in general, and just the future. As we know, Degrassi Next Class is currently not filming Season 5. Production for that is on hold, and there's no reason as of yet to believe that the show is canceled. But this means that we're at a major turning point for the show, for Degrassi to become far more than what it is right now, which is, quote, that other Degrassi on Netflix. Number one on my agenda, we got to get this episode count, or at least the perception of it, figured out. Biggest complaint about Degrassi Next Class is 10 episodes just simply isn't enough for a season. Here's the thing, Degrassi produces 20 episodes at a time, so they could easily be like, hey, here's all 20 episodes at once, it's a full season, or hey, all 20 episodes are one season, but we're going to split them up into part 1 and part 2. But the average viewer / fan doesn't know that. All they know is what's being told to them, and that's that every 10 episodes of Degrassi Next Class is a season. So the decision makers on this are unintentionally playing these mind tricks with their own audience. So, Carrie, what's the alternate option? Do we increase the episode count, which, by the way, that costs this thing called money, and we haven't had a 40-episode season since season 13? Or do they just repackage and reframe the way these 20 episodes we get in a calendar year are presented? There isn't one definitive answer to this, but what I do know is that the current framing is causing frustration because perception often outweighs reality. And the perception is that there isn't enough episodes, so we get things like fans thinking that the writers are rushing through literally every storyline in the season, which isn't necessarily true. Number two, and speaking of presentation, Erin from Degrassi Online has me on board with seeing some type of major changes with the structure of Degrassi in the future. She made a video talking about the future of Degrassi, and I'll leave a link in the description of where you can watch her video. But she presented this interesting thought that Degrassi is trapped in between who it wants to target. She said it's got the aesthetic and structure of a 30-minute Nickelodeon or Disney show, but the show's topics and themes are pretty mature and relevant. And I loved her example that if you turn Degrassi Next Class on, and you just put it on mute, it kind of does look like a kiddie show. But I'm telling you, if you look at like the episode descriptions, or you get like a recap of any given episode, Degrassi Next Class reads far more mature than what you would think. Don't let these people on social media tell you that Degrassi TNG dealt with serious issues and Next Class doesn't. We watched a girl walk into an office and get an abortion. They basically followed Lola all the way up until the point where the actual abortion happens. And then also Next Class literally showed a character attempting suicide. So please don't tell me that Degrassi Next Class doesn't go there. But the issue, once again, is perception. And the perception is that Degrassi Next Class is a kid's show because it looks like one. Meanwhile, I could turn over to Riverdale. Even those casual scenes that we see in the hallways of Riverdale, that show feels grown and sexy. I know that Degrassi thrives in authenticity, but a lot of that authenticity, actually a majority of it, is in the actual stories themselves. But the aesthetic of the show itself, super high-tech, really fancy, beautiful, colorful-looking school, and that we have seen over the years on Degrassi, even in the TNG days where the characters started becoming, quote, prettier. Characters may join the show having a unique style, but then as we go along, pretty much everyone just comes to school super stylish and pretty nice clothes. Even the token poor character who wears the same outfit in every episode, aka Zig and his sleeveless shirts, he's still looking pretty good. Degrassi looks like it fits right in with the other shows on Family Channel in Canada, which is sort of Disney-esque so, but I don't really know. Actually, Family Channel probably mimics what the N/Noggin used to do back in the day, where they had kids programming during the day and more teen-oriented programming at night. And number 3, Degrassi's social presence, it just has to get better. As the usage of technology increases in society, the show's presence in a social capacity actually feels like it's decreasing, especially if you compare it to the golden age of the Degrassi community from seasons 10 to like 13. Business was booming back then. Fandom felt alive, and on Degrassi's end, they were churning out some awesome, innovative stuff. But now, in 2017, more times than not, it always feels like there's nothing happening. And as a fan of Degrassi, you feel like there's no real reason to care, no real reason to be engaged with Degrassi as a brand. And when I'm talking about Degrassi in a social sense, I'm talking more than just Degrassi Next Class. I'm talking Degrassi as a whole, whatever that may be to you. And for the majority of people online, that is from Degrassi TNG up until now. And the thing that pisses me off the most is the fact that it feels like the broadcasters nowadays don't really give a shit about promoting Degrassi. Netflix, they have bigger fish to fry, obviously, and the show's pretty much buried on Family Channel after dark. And it's also pretty pathetic to search for press, trying to find people, like even simply just looking for people who have reviewed the show. And the Phoenix New Times, they're the only ones who have put forth any effort worth a damn to cover Degrassi Next Class. Shout out to them. They get no love out here, man. And they're the only ones showing the show any sort of consistent love. I've been a part of Degrassi's fandom, the online community, for over 13 years now. And it makes me sad to look at Degrassi's fandom today and see virtually nothing going on. People are not inspired to write fan fiction or create GIF sets or edits with fury and passion, because now it's pretty much literally up to Degrassi as a show itself and the fans to promote the show. And as of right now, Degrassi's just out here being known as that show Drake was on in order for the brand to be acknowledged. We have 16 years of modern Degrassi things to talk about. And for all of us still left out here, for it being our favorite show, as we like to tell people, we're doing a pretty crappy job of letting the world know that and reminding the world how good Degrassi was, how good Degrassi is now, and that it's actually worth their time to reinvest said time into the Degrassi brand. The bottom line is, I still love Degrassi. I've watched it and invested way too much into the show to just sort of stop watching or to not like it. I truly enjoy Degrassi Next Class, and I feel like it doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. Next Class is written off as being trash because it's not Degrassi TNG. And when people talk TNG nowadays, the show itself is an afterthought to Drake simply existing. And I love Drake. I still have a physical copy of his first ever mixtape because it was awesome. But at the same time, Degrassi deserves better than that. And so do the actors currently on the show and the people behind the scenes, from the digital team to the writers and the crew that you've never met, but they've appeared in the ending credits of every Degrassi episode you've ever watched. The people at Degrassi 220 Bartley Drive have been working too damn hard on this show for it to go unnoticed. I don't want Degrassi to settle or to mail it in and be this show that no one cares about, but it still exists 30 years from now because it's a cheap show to make. I want to see Degrassi as a brand thrive and be an exciting, engaging experience for fans past, present, and future. And we're in a position to do that right now. We just have to actually do it. And that's all I've got for you today. Any thoughts about Degrassi and the future, just leave those in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to Degrassi Corner for the latest Degrassi news and more.